He's got room now. It's Leo Messi. 1-1. Ronaldo turns to dribble. Brilliant footwork. Amazing goal for Cristiano Ronaldo. Balotelli. Aguero.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Sports Fix podcast with me, Daniel Majani.
And me, Kelvin Mwangi.
So here's what's lined up for the show today. The January transfer window around the corner. Liverpool create a massive lead on top of the table. And the very controversial Serie A anti-racism campaign. Yep. The German Bundesliga getting more competitive. So we'll just dive directly onto the first topic of today, and we have to discuss the January transfer window. The winter is around the corner. Different clubs are making various moves to sign maybe the people who can be able to come in and salvage their season. And we're talking about salvaging. Let's start with the Erling Braut Haaland, the 19-year-old, tall, lanky Norwegian attacker. Do you think that this is the guy to save Manchester United scoring problems?
Yeah, to me, I think Haaland is a good fit for Manchester because you guys just lack a natural goal scorer. Because the likes of Martial is a good attacker, but they are mainly wing players who want to have the ball more. And Rashford also, he's on and off form. That's the problem with Rashford. But for Haaland, he's just there when you need him. He just needs a tap. He's so good in the air, whereas you guys, unless your defenders score a header, then it's hard for you to score even a corner. But for Haaland, he'll be good for any air balls and any through balls, because we know your forward line is speedy enough. The likes of Daniel James on the wing and maybe Rashford or Martial on the other wing. Then Haaland will get a lot of supplies for balls, for cutbacks and crosses and everything.
I'm also a very big fan of Haaland, but coming to think of it, like we have a striker who is on form right now by the name of Timo Werner, and I think he might cost us way more cheaper than Haaland because Manchester United will have to fork out around £76 million to get the signing of that teenager, and keeping in mind that he's represented by Mino Raiola, who we all know. He fancies money a lot more than talent. I'm actually not a very big fan of that agent, but
I'm a fan of Mino Raiola. He knows his job. That's what an agent should be doing.
Yes, he knows
in business.
He knows his job, but that guy is very controversial. He's known for making his clients lose focus, with an example of Paul Pogba, with an example of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, so that he can benefit from their sales. So I'm not a very big fan of Mino, but should Haaland come in, I think it will be a very good move for Manchester United, because he really knows how to hold the ball up front. So it will be a very good addition. And speaking of Haaland, we also have another one of his teammates by the name of Takuma Minamino. And as per the latest reports, is that he's at Merseyside right now having his medical, and it will be announced much later that they have signed him. And I think for 7.5 million, that is a very, very good bargain for Liverpool. What do you think about Minamino?
To me, Takumi Minamino is just what maybe not Liverpool needed, because they have like sub players like Chamberlain and the likes of Shaqiri, who can play very well on the wing. But let's not forget Minamino's performances in the Champions League.
That amazing goal, he did Van Dijk dirty.
yeah, like making Van Dijk look like a clown for once. We all know no one dribbles past Van Dijk. They claim that, but Minamino made it look very easy. So I think that's one of the reasons Liverpool are also going in the market for him. But the good thing with Minamino is he's competitive, and he can be in the chemistry that Liverpool are, like just like pressing, like what Klopp says, he likes pressing football. I think that's why he went for Minamino. He has speed, he has power, he has skill, and also his technique in finishing. He can curl the balls very well, and his passes are so good. So having Minamino on the wing, Salah on the other wing, and maybe Mane on the wing, Minamino on the wing, it will give them an option of lots of options for sure, so that we all say that Liverpool doesn't have depth, but having those guys like Minamino and maybe Shaqiri when he's not injured on the wings, then Liverpool is a deadly team.
Yeah, and winding up this transfer topic, we can't complete that without talking about a man who is on high demand at the moment. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has been linked with AC Milan for the longest time, ever since saying that he's made the MLS great again, and now Everton seems to be in for him as well. And another person who might be heading out of Premier League is Leroy Sané, with a lot of German media houses reporting that Bayern Munich have made him a priority in the January transfer window. So starting with Zlatan, do you think that he might solve Everton's problem with Ancelotti coming in?
To me, I don't think Zlatan is the problem solver for Everton. I mean, Everton needs someone to help them in attack, because the likes of Iwobi, when they're without Moise Kean, will be their next big thing, but Moise Kean hasn't really clicked in Merseyside. And Zlatan, we all know Zlatan is big, just like his name, and he has every right to boast. So let's see how well he does in case Everton buy him. I know they're just rumors, but who knows? The Premier League is so attractive, and no one will want to go to Syria. I know AC Milan is his top priority in some way, because he likes the Italian league, been there, done that, played there a lot and shined there. But let's see if Everton can click him and see how he performs, because he can lead. He's a leader. That's the best thing with Zlatan.
And now that we're talking about Everton, I think we should head directly to their manager problems. Duncan Ferguson has been able to do well ever since Marco Silva was shown the door. 4 points out of the possible 6, but we can't actually say it's possible, because he's managed to get a win versus Chelsea and a draw at Old Trafford, so we can't take anything away from him at the moment. But Carlo Ancelotti has been in Everton the whole week. As I think, as the reports are saying at the moment, is that he's been able to strike a deal with the management of Everton Football Club. So do you think Ancelotti is the right man to push Everton forward at the moment, because they've been able to get various managers ever since David Moyes left the club, and all of them from Sam Allardyce have come into the club. Managers like Ronald Koeman, they are good managers who have very good CVs from their previous clubs, but it seems no one seems to get it right at Everton. Do you think Ancelotti is the man?
To me, I think Everton's problems can be fixed by Ancelotti. I feel he has the experience to do that. He's done that with big clubs. Or looking at his time at AC Milan, where he was successful, even having the Champions League on 2 occasions. Going to Real Madrid, though that's a Galactico team, anyone can be successful there.
Mm-hmm.
And going to Bayern Munich, where he was, to my opinion, he was successful, but Bayern Munich needed Hanks as their coach back, so feel, to me, he has the vast experience that's needed for the Premier League, looking at his time also in Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure he's the man to save the Everton ship, because the Premier League is a hard league, and sometimes it's not the managers. Because you look at clubs like Arsenal now, they sacked their 22-year-old Arsene Wenger. They wanted to replace him with another manager. They thought Wenger's time was done, but when we look at that, it's not about even the managers in some instance, because right now they had Unai Emery some 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he was dismissed not because he had a bad philosophy or anything. I think Arsenal just has a virus in it that's not more of a coach that they need. It's like the whole philosophy or the whole system they need to dismantle and start it over again. So Ancelotti feel like Everton can challenge, but it depends again on the players more than the coach, because they've had several managers in a row and none has really saved them. So yeah,
I also feel like Ancelotti has kind of made the wrong move to come to Everton, keeping in mind the caliber of his stature and the kind of man that he is, the kind of clubs that he has managed. But maybe time will tell. Maybe he can come at Everton and be able to turn things around, because he has a very wonderful CV which speaks for itself. He's been successful at different clubs, although you bring the point that it's very difficult not to be successful in the kind of clubs that he has managed. And I feel in Everton it brings a whole different challenge and a whole different mountain that he has to climb. So Everton doesn't have a very bad squad, if I might say, and I think if Ancelotti is given time and money, which is a very big essential to any manager at the moment, but I think time is very difficult to get in the Premier League. But for money, I am sure he'll be able to be given, keeping in mind the kind of wealth that Everton chairman has. So I think maybe come January or at the end of the season, Ancelotti will be able to make 1 or 2 acquisitions that maybe might add to that Everton side. Because you see, for someone like Luka Dean, he is a very good left back, but at the moment he's not where he was last season. So I think with Everton, it's actually not the kind of manpower that they have, but the kind of shift the players should be able to turn, because they have very good players who I think if they decide to focus on what they are supposed to do, they'll do very well. So, and after Ancelotti, we also know there's another club which is in dire need of a manager, and that has to be Arsenal.
I knew that's what you wanted to say.
Yes, because Arsenal is actually a very weird club, as many people think, because I think it's common sense for a club. If a club sacks a manager, the most viable thing for that club to do is win at least 3 games, and that's not rocket science. Look at a club like Everton. Marco Silva was sacked. Duncan Ferguson came in with a very tough fixture because he has had to face Arsenal and Manchester United, Chelsea and Manchester United, but he has been able to get points. Look at a club like Manchester United. When Mourinho was sacked, Ole came in, won almost 13 games on the bounce. Look at Chelsea with Sarri.
Also Tottenham.
Even Tottenham at the moment. So Arsenal's problem lie to more than just a manager, as you had said earlier, because Freddie Ljungberg has come in, and these players are not even able to just give that reactionary change. Just because a manager was sacked, you can win at least 2 or 3 games. So do you think if Arsenal get Arteta, because a lot of media outlets in the UK are reporting that Arteta is leading in the race to become the next Arsenal manager, do you think Arteta will be able to solve the kind of problems that Arsenal have at the moment?
I mean, it's good to have Arteta because he knows the team and he has the feeling of losing as a player. So I think he will try so much not to lose again as a manager. But again, as I said, the problem with Arsenal is not more of the coach, it's more of the philosophy. To me, I feel people like Ozil, if there came a manager who can order new recruits like other younger playmakers, feel it could be fine for us, because the problem is the philosophy. When we look at Liverpool had good managers, the likes of Benitez when he was winning the Champions League, but they reached a point where Liverpool needed an extra boost in the philosophy, because they always had a very strong attacking front with the likes of Suarez, Sturridge and Sterling, and before that Dick Kite, Fernando Torres and Babel there. The same thing with Arsenal. They always have a front three that's very terrific. Look at the likes of Van Persie, Samir Nasri and Arshavin on the wing, and having Fabregas as their playmaker. Then comes again Ozil and Cazorla and Van Persie again and Giroud there. The transition of the forward line is always good, but the defense is a problem. There is a virus back there. All the recruits, anyone, you buy Mustafi, that's the most expensive weird signing I've seen in my life. 35 million for Mustafi. Wow. Valencia got rid of their most expensive problem, and they smiled to the bank. That one I can bet. 35 million for Mustafi. Mustafi is the worst. Then we come again. Chelsea do not need David Luiz. Then Lampard thinks, wow, I think there's a market down there. Can just dump him. Arsenal buys a Chelsea reject, and then we have the likes of Callum Chambers. He's improving, but before that he was a defensive midfielder. Yeah, you can convert a defensive midfielder to a centre back, but the rotation of the players makes them not even know what their position should be. And that's why we lost Oxlade-Chamberlain, because Wenger, with his philosophy of transitioning players, just because he transitioned Thierry Henry from the wing to a number 9, Van Persie from the wing to a number 9, and with that he thought he could make Chamberlain a fullback. That's a very foolish move. That's why Chamberlain couldn't hold on to his number in the starting 11. He's a good player, but when the coach doesn't know which position fits you best, then that's crazy. Same thing with Maitland-Niles at Arsenal. We have Maitland-Niles. He's a very good defensive midfielder. We had him. Remember, there's a game he bossed Pogba. We were playing, though we lost, but he really played very well in that center midfield. But we go and buy Guendouzi. Guendouzi is a very amazing player to me. I can't say that he's overrated or think that he shouldn't be in this Arsenal side, but why do we buy the recruitment process in Arsenal or whoever does those? I really blame the former recruiting director, Ivan Gazidis, because even when he went to AC Milan again started performing badly because of how they sign. You don't sign what you need, you sign what's available. That's his philosophy. Whereas you should be signing what you need. Because when we look at someone like Alex Ferguson, he thought, I need a striker. When Tevez left, he thought, I need a striker. He bought Babatov. Babatov came, performed very well. Then Babatov left. He thought, now what I need to lift my last League Cup is Van Persie. He should talk to Wenger. And Arsene Wenger just let him have his captain for 24 million. Still hurts, but with all respect to Van Persie, because that's my guy, I really feel that was a brilliant move for him, because he really was wasted at Arsenal. And that's the same thing with Aubameyang. Phil Aubameyang is a very good striker who could even go to Real Madrid and perform and other top clubs, but being in Arsenal, he can never lift a trophy there. Sad to say as an Arsenal fan, but with our recruiting philosophy, it's bad, because we don't buy. When Van Dijk was at Southampton, we were heavily linked with him every other time. But why do we go and buy Lacazette for 65 million? Van Dijk was 75 million, whereby we are always weak on the defense. Every team knows, hey, today we are passing. Mustafi is there. That's a goal. It's either an own goal or dribble past him and score. It's very easy to play Arsenal. So I feel Arteta is not what we really need. To change the philosophy is what we need.
Okay, for me, Arteta, I think he's a pretty much good manager, having learned his trade under the double, the two-time Premier League winner in Pep Guardiola. So a lot of Arsenal fans actually are very happy because they think Arteta will be able to come with some Mwakenya, as we will say, from the city side. He's been able to learn a lot under Pep Guardiola.
Yep.
So maybe coming to Arsenal, he will come with 1 or 2 or maybe even 5 secrets on how this Arsenal side can improve. But I also have to agree with you where you say the system is more of the problem than the manager. Yep. Because we all know it's not every manager's will that his team should lose, and that applies to everybody, including Unai Emery. tried a lot so that Arsenal could win 3 or 4 fixtures. But I think what is happening with Freddie Ljungberg is evidence enough to show you that Arsenal's problem is not the manager, because as I told you earlier, I'm actually very shocked that Arsenal have even failed to have that reactionary win where you just have to win because you sacked a manager.
Exactly.
Because that's the it thing in football. Whenever
what's
a manager
the point of-
yes, whenever a manager is sacked, at least you have to win like 2 or 3 games on the bounce before you come back to default settings. So in Arsenal, I'm very shocked because Freddie Ljungberg came in, and in fact, the 2 games that you lost before you finally got your win, you even played worse than when Unai Emery was available. So I think once Arteta will be given the job, maybe he'll be able to turn things around. You never know.
Yeah.
And on to the title race, because it seems Arsenal and Everton are on the same page, speaking of the bottom half of the table. So let's move to the top half of the table where we'll have to talk about Liverpool and company. So at the moment, Liverpool are what? 10 points clear?
Yeah, Liverpool are 10 points clear of the title race. 5 wins in their last 5, and that's as expected, because it seems no one is stopping them this season. They're yet to lose. Then followed by Leicester. Leicester, it's not a surprise.
They dropped points for the first time in 8 games.
Yeah.
So that's bad news for Manchester United fans, because we decided that this season we'll be supporting Leicester in the hope that maybe they'll be able to stop Liverpool. But at the moment, it seems this league is Liverpool's to lose.
Yeah, and Man City are in third. They dropped some points before they beat Arsenal mercilessly.
I have to say they dropped points against the great Manchester United. So as it stands, the city is red.
Yeah, the city is red, but not for long. Chelsea have lost 2 of their last 2 games, or lost 4 of their last 5 games. And that's shocking for sure, but they are holding on to position 4 with 20 points behind the leaders. And the race for the top 4 is getting hotter, because Manchester and Tottenham are slowly catching up. Well, I remember in the last episode we talked about Manchester United not even in a position of qualifying for the Europa League, but
it's amazing what 2 games can do.
Yeah, miracles happen, and these are some of them. So Tottenham are 5th with 26 points, 3 points off the top 4 race. And then Manchester United are 25 points. That's 4 points off the top 4 race. And Sheffield is a surprise. They are very consistent. They are also 4 points behind the top 4 of the top 4 race. And Wolves are 8th, 5 points from the top 4 race. So the top 4 race, when you lose 1 game, you never know. It's changing. It's ever changing. And feel we can jump shift to the Spanish La Liga.
Oh no, I actually wanted us to talk a little bit about Liverpool at the helm of the table and the kind of performances they have. Do you think that they'll be able to to lose this league this time round, or do you think that this is finally their year after 30 years without lifting the coveted Premier League?
I give you this for free. It's only Arsenal that can lose the league when they are topping the league by December. It's only us who can lose that league.
No. I have to disagree because it's only happened. The start I'm going to tell you has only happened twice in the history of Premier League.
Yeah.
So it's only twice that a club has been able to lead the Premier League table at Christmas and failed to lift the title. And the 2 times it has happened, Liverpool were the guys who are leading the Premier League at Christmas. So I think Christmas is next week. Liverpool will be on top of the table, but history is not on their side. So never say never. I see that they are 14 points ahead of Man City. So let's assume maybe Man City go on a very positive run and maybe Liverpool lose to Manchester City in the second leg. Maybe things can be able to be turned, but I'm crossing my fingers. I just really hope that Man City maybe can be able to do something with Leicester. I think Liverpool face Leicester in the next weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe let's see if Leicester will be able to finally reduce the gap to single digits.
Take it or leave it. Liverpool are smiling at the end of the season. I see this coming. Liverpool are very consistent.
Yeah.
Last season, we know they lost just 1 game. And right now, they are 14 points clear. Let's assume they lose even 2 games till the end of the season. They'll still win this. That one I can bet on that.
Yes, on consistency, I really have to agree because Liverpool have been so consistent that it's even scary, keeping in mind that they can play in the Premier League. They can play their second 11 like what they did in the Merseyside derby versus Everton. The likes of Shaqiri, the likes of Lallana were all given
Keita.
Yes, they were all given their opportunity to don the red colours at Anfield, and they didn't disappoint. So I think that's actually what makes me fear Liverpool the most, because at the moment they can win a match or 2 without Salah, and if maybe Mane gets injured, they have someone like Origi who has never failed to make those fans happy whenever he's been called upon. So I think at the end of the day, maybe the title will be Liverpool's.
Yeah,
to
to
lose.
me, Leicester have the best defense in the Premier League, conceding just 11 goals out of their last 17 games, followed by Liverpool. So you can tell Liverpool's defense is not as good as it was last season, but they are winning ugly, like 2-1 or 1-0 as usual.
Yes.
And when you see that, that's the winning style for every champions every other season. Yeah, they're not running riot as they did last season, but you can tell they have a winning mentality.
Yeah.
So they don't have to smash 5 goals in to get the 3 points.
Yes.
So that's why I said feel like they'll smile at the end of the season.
Yes, and we all know it's those crazy, dirty 1-0 wins and the 2-1s that usually show how resilient a club is. So those are the kind of wins that take you to glory at the end of the season. So let's jump ship to the Spanish La Liga.
In the Spanish La Liga, things are getting hotter, and the El Clasico is coming at a time when Real Madrid and Barcelona are tying on points. With 16 games played, Barcelona are the top of the league on goal aggregate, on goal difference, because they have 35 points, followed by Real Madrid, who also have 35 points, with a deficit of 2 goals in the goal difference. Then Sevilla is a surprise third with 31 points. Not so bad for them, but they have played one more game ahead of Barcelona and Real Madrid. Then on fourth, this is a great surprise. Getafe are there with 30 points. Then Atletico Madrid have dropped their stature despite signing the wonder kid.
João Felix.
Yeah, João Felix. Everyone knew after they beat Real Madrid 7 in the preseason, everyone knew it's their league to lose, but they are not playing the best as they should be. They are still defending because they just conceded 8 goals. I think they've just conceded 10 goals. I think that's the best defense in Europe.
I think the problem with Atletico is that just how everything applies in war, whereby you have to fight according to your strengths. And at the moment, not even at the moment, always their strength is the defense.
Yeah.
So with conceding goals, you will always find them up there. I mean, not conceding a lot of goals. The same way, like keeping clean sheets. They are always very good. But the problem comes in where now they have to score, because they took a Chelsea flop in Morata, and Morata has not been able to supplement a lot of goals at the moment. And I also don't think that João Felix is old enough to score the kind of goals that Griezmann used to score for Atletico.
Yeah, the big problem, as you said, is which is your stronghold. For Atletico, the stronghold is their defense, and they use that ugly defensive approach. To me, I don't like defending teams because I like flowing football. But as you can see, they've just scored 18 goals. In the top 10 teams in La Liga, they've scored the least goals. Or you can't compare with Barcelona, who have scored 43 goals, and Real Madrid, who scored 33 goals. Yeah, they concede little, but they have a very terrific forward with the likes of Costa and Correa and João Felix and Alvaro Morata. But let me give them an excuse in having Diego Costa injured. No, he's a key man to that attack. But again, that doesn't give them the reason to flop so much, because to me, they invested also in defense. They bought Kieran Trippier, who is a good defender and can supply crosses and everything, but they're still not performing well. On the list of their top scorers, back from injury, Lionel Messi leads the top scorers chart with 12 goals. That's too little for Messi in a league, but I excuse his injury.
Okay, yes. I was almost jumping to his defense, but it's okay.
Yeah, and then we have Karim Benzema, who is on a good run of form. He actually scored an equalizer at the 96th minute while playing with Valencia. That's what type of a player you need, who can save the day even with a draw when it's too hard. Then at third is Suarez, who has 9 goals. Then we have Angel Rodriguez, who has 8 goals. Yeah, and that's the standings of the La Liga.
Oh, okay, that's absolutely wonderful, because it looks like it's very hard for someone even to know which team will smile at the end of the season, because Barcelona and Real Madrid are really stressing each other very much this season. And as we are leaving the La Liga conversation, who are you supporting for the El Clasico tonight?
I think I'm an anti-Barcelona fan. I really don't fancy Barcelona. I'm a big Hala Madrid fan. So
It's different thing, like to be a fan and saying who will win. I'm asking who will win. You can be a Real Madrid fan, but
on who will win,
yes,
not as hard as when Ronaldo was there. So I know it will be hard, whether in Nou Camp or in Bernabeu. Real Madrid might lose this, because where Messi is,
anything can happen.
anything happens. And Messi is so good in these derbies and El Clasicos and big games. We saw him score the lone goal versus Atletico at the Wanda Metropolitano. And yeah, so expect anything with Messi leading the front. Then, but anyway, anything happens in football. I support Real Madrid in this, though I'm kind of nervous Barcelona might win this.
So for me, I not even a matter of supporting, but I feel Barcelona will carry the day simply because they have a better man-to-man squad at the moment, because maybe the only place that Real Madrid can be better than Barcelona tonight is maybe the centre-back position, because I feel like Barcelona have not been able to pin down that position ever since Carles Puyol retired. They've been trying a lot of people, the likes of Mateu, the likes of Umtiti. Now, but Lenglet has really come in and he's doing pretty much well ever since he was bought. So maybe Ramos and Varane, if they are serious enough tonight, they'll be able to suppress the attack of Messi, Suarez and Griezmann, and that will also be very hard, because I think they'll have to be confused on who they will mark. But the saddest part for Real Madrid tonight is that their record transfer Eden Hazard will not be able to feature tonight due to injury. But that Barcelona midfield and that Barcelona attack is what makes me think Real Madrid will lose heavily tonight. Maybe 5-0 for Barcelona.
Talking of losing heavily, I feel like they won't lose heavily, and I kind of also feel Real Madrid have this. And there are two players to watch. It will be a very good game to watch. We have the likes of Frank de Jong at the heart of midfield in Barcelona, and the wonder kid, Rodrigo, for Real Madrid. And so expect those are my two players to watch.
And also there's a very good Madrid kid called Valverde.
Yeah.
He's also very good.
Yeah, Zidane kind of tends to believe in the kids right now, with Vinicius Jr. playing some couple of games and Rodrigo starting almost every other game. Yeah, there are some kids to watch in that match. Let's jump shift to the controversial Syria
anti-racism campaign.
Yeah. We saw them place a banner that says "Say no to racism" with some monkeys with different colors. What's your view on that, or what do you say about that?
I think I have to blame the Syria executives, the people who run the league. I think that was very foolish of them. Yeah,
like who even approved that?
yes, I'm even wondering. That was so foolish of them to even think of doing such a thing. And what makes me happy is that different clubs that play their football in Serie A, being led with clubs like AC Milan, clubs like AS Roma, and even Inter Milan, have really come out strong and condemned that kind of incidents, because it's not normal of someone to think posting a monkey picture that can be the perfect photo to display your anti-racism words. So that was very bad for Serie A, for their image. But I also feel like it's more of trying to make people talk about the Serie A, because being honest, the Serie A is not watched a lot, like compared to the other leagues. So making a meal out of this racism card actually gets a lot of people to talk about Serie A. So I think it's more of clout chasing and maybe making sure that people tune into Serie A. But apart from that, I have to condemn that. That was very bad.
Yeah, like how do you say no to racism? How do you fight racism with racism? That's so damn of a... And whoever the graphic designer was, I think he got that bad. But apart from the designer, whoever approved that for the campaign should be somewhere in jail right now. So let's look at the table in the standings of the Serie A. We have Inter Milan, who top the table with 39 points from 16 games. We also have Juventus, who are second with 39 points from 16 games also. And Lazio, who are really doing well in that league, who have 36 points from 16 games. And they are free scoring. They are they've scored the most goals in Serie A. And then we have Roma, who have 32 points from 16 games. Then to cap that, we have Cagliari at 5, who have 29 games from 29 points from 16 games. Lazio are the team on form. They've won their last 5.
Yeah, Lazio, I think they are doing very well this season. They've actually outscored the ambitions of the fans. In fact, their last win was a very emotional 2-1 win. I remember that win very well, because both teams scored their goals in the 90th minute, and it was crazy scenes at Lazio. So they are having a very good season at the moment, courtesy of their main striker in Ciro Immobile. But I have to say, so far, Antonio Conte had really impressed me until the last 2 games, whereby I feel his man management has not been the best, because Juventus were dropped points in 2 consecutive games, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So it was good for Conte and his Inter Milan team to find ways of which they can capitalize on that, because we all know Juventus very well. If you fail to capitalize on the days that they lose points, it will bite you later on in the league. So right now they're on similar points, but Juventus will also have a very tough time this weekend, because they'll be facing an in-form Lazio side. And I remember that game very well last season, where Lazio played their hearts out, but still Juventus won, courtesy of last-minute penalty by we all know who.
Cristiano Ronaldo. He never misses these things.
So Serie A will be very interesting to watch this season.
Going on the list of top scorers, we have Ciro Immobile. Wow. He's on a hot streak. He has 17 goals from the last 16 matches. Very with a gap of 7 goals from the second, who is Joao Pedro. Then we have the man himself, Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah.
I know most Manchester fans will beat me to say that he's a very potential striker to be one of the best number 9s.
We actually don't miss Lukaku because
That's a lie.
because he's got 10 goals and Rashford has got 10 goals. So yeah, but I feel we need a striker who's similar to Lukaku, but as long as that striker similar to Lukaku can
With a
control the ball.
very good fast touch, right?
Yeah, with a very good fast touch, I don't mind. But for Lukaku, it was good while it lasted. And I'm surprised Lautaro Martinez is not on that top scorers list because he's been phenomenal ever since coming. I think they have scored almost 40 goals together with Lukaku. So that's a very formidable partnership, not to talk about.
Yeah, on number 4 is the selling point of the Serie A, who is Cristiano Ronaldo. Where I think to me it's very hard right now to catch up with Ciro Immobile. We've known Ronaldo as a very phenomenal finisher and always wants to top the scoring charts, but with 9 goals, 8 goals behind Ciro Immobile, I think it will be so hard for him to catch up. Anyway, but the guy is a machine. You never know. Let's jump to the Bundesliga, where things are getting hotter. We have Leipzig at position 1 with 34 points from 16 games. Then we have Borussia Mönchengladbach with 31 points from 15 games. They have a game in hand. We are third. We have Borussia Dortmund with 30 points from 16 games. Then we have Schalke, who has 28 points from their last 15 games. And then at 5th, it's a surprise to have Bayern Munich at 5th. But we kind of all know how this league ends. They have 27 points from 15 games. That's 7 points adrift from number 1, who are Leipzig. So what's your take on the Bundesliga?
Actually, my team of the season so far has to be Schalke because they had a very poor season last season. And David Wagner, who was sacked at Huddersfield, has come in as their manager and is doing a very good job at the moment. So Schalke 4 has been doing very well this season at number 4. So I hope they'll be able to work some miracles together with Mönchengladbach, Leipzig and Dortmund so that they can make Bayern Munich not qualify for the Champions League. So I'm a Dortmund supporter.
Wow, that's hard. Talking of Bayern Munich not qualifying for the Champions League, to me I still place them as favorites to win that league.
Yeah, me too. But
so it's hard for them to not qualify for the Champions League.
I hope Leipzig become very consistent, and I hope that they don't drop points.
We've seen this before. Leipzig.
Yeah.
Leipzig led the league last season, right?
It was the other season.
Oh, the season before.
Yeah.
Previous season.
When they were promoted.
Yeah, and Bayern Munich caught up with them by game 30. So we expect from... Right now it's only 16 games played. There are 14 more games in that league to be played, and that's where the things start to change and things start turning at game 25 or so, because Bayern Munich are so consistent and they treasure their league so much.
Yeah, what brings the biggest problem in this Bundesliga is because the other clubs, they don't have the experience of challenging the league as often as Bayern Munich.
Yep.
So whenever they are subjected to pressure, they tend to collapse compared to Bayern Munich, who, even if they are 10 or 15 points adrift, they always know that we will catch up, we'll reduce this deficit. And at the end of the day, that's what usually happens. So they work ways and come to get to these teams at the end of the day.
Let's look at the list of the top scorers in the Bundesliga. So we have Roberto Lewandowski. He's a scoring machine. He has 18 goals. And wow, I'm so amazed by Timo Werner. I know Werner is a very good player, but the rate at which he's scoring goals to catch up with Lewandowski at 18 goals is surprising, because Lewandowski had a gap of almost 4 or 5 goals, but now they are tied at 18 goals. Then we have Hennings, who has 10 goals for Fortuna Dusseldorf, and it's so amazing for him to be there. Then to cap that off, we have Sancho and Reus, who both have 9 goals for Dortmund. And the top assist leader is a surprise. Thomas Muller. People say they don't see what Muller does on the field, but right now they can see him as the top assists leader. But I think Jadon Sancho will end the season as the top assist leader.
Yeah, that's very good for a 19-year-old, actually. So, and sadly we come to the end of the episode today, and we thank you for keeping us company. So until next time, keep it sporty, keep it the Sports Freaks podcast, and we wish you also a prosperous new year.
He's got room now. It's Leo Messi. 1-1. Now they turn to dribble. Brilliant football.